The Rwandan Genocide, also known as the genocide against the Tutsi, stands as one of the most horrific events of the 20th century. Welcome back to Explorify, where we talk about histories, facts, and hidden mysteries of our world and its people. Today, we are going to talk about the tragic and complex history of the Rwandan Genocide. Join us as we uncover the events, secrets, and impact of one of the darkest periods in human history. Between April 7th and July 19th, 1994, Rwanda was engulfed in an unprecedented wave of violence that claimed the lives of an estimated 800,000 to 1 million people. This dark chapter in history unfolded over approximately 100 days, during which members of the Tutsi minority ethnic group, along with moderate Hutu and Twa, were brutally murdered by armed Hutu militias. To understand the Rwandan genocide, we must first delve into the historical and socio-political context that laid the groundwork for such an atrocity. Rwanda, a small, landlocked country in East Africa, has a complex history of ethnic tensions between the Hutu majority and the Tutsi minority. These tensions were exacerbated by colonial rule when Belgian colonizers who took over from the Germans after World War I implemented a system of ethnic classification that favored the Tutsi over the Hutu. This favoritism sowed deep-seated animosities that persisted even after Rwanda gained independence in 1962. The stage for the genocide was set by decades of political unrest, economic hardship, and a violent civil war. The Rwandan Civil War began in 1990 when the Rwandan Patriotic Front, RPF, a rebel group composed mainly of Tutsi exiles, invaded Rwanda from Uganda. This invasion led to a series of violent clashes between the RPF and the Rwandan government forces, predominantly Hutu. In 1993, a peace agreement known as the Arusha Accords was signed, but the peace was fragile and short-lived. The genocide's immediate trigger was the assassination of President Juvenal Habyarimana on April 6, 1994. Habyarimana, a Hutu, was killed when his plane was shot down near Kigali, the capital of Rwanda. To this day, the perpetrators of this attack remain unknown, but the event ignited a firestorm of violence. Extremist Hutu leaders, who had been preparing for such an opportunity, swiftly mobilized militias, including the notorious Interahamwe and Impuzamugambi, to begin the systematic extermination of the Tutsi population. One of the chilling aspects of the Rwandan genocide was the extent to which ordinary citizens were complicit in the violence. Propaganda played a crucial role in inciting hatred and fear. The Hutu power ideology, propagated by extremist leaders and media outlets such as Radio-Télévision Libre des Mille Collines, RTLM, dehumanized the Tutsi, referring to them as cockroaches and calling for their extermination. This hate speech mobilized tens of thousands of Hutu civilians to take up arms against their neighbors. The methods of killing were barbaric and brutal. Victims were slaughtered with machetes, clubs, and guns. Many Tutsis sought refuge in churches, schools, and hospitals, only to be surrounded and massacred. Women and girls were subjected to horrific sexual violence. The perpetrators showed no mercy, targeting anyone who was identified as Tutsi or who opposed the genocide, including moderate Hutu and Twa. While the international community was aware of the unfolding genocide, their response was tragically inadequate. The United Nations had a peacekeeping force in Rwanda, the United Nations Assistance Mission for Rwanda, UNAMIR, led by Canadian General Romeo Dallaire. However, UNAMIR was severely understaffed and restricted by its mandate, which did not allow for intervention to stop the massacres. Requests for reinforcements and a stronger mandate were largely ignored by the UN and powerful nations like the United States, which were hesitant to get involved after the debacle of the Somali intervention in 1993. Despite the overwhelming odds, there were instances of bravery and resistance. Some individuals, both Rwandan and foreign, risked their lives to protect the Tutsi. Among them was Paul Rusesabagina, a hotel manager who sheltered over 200 people in the Hotel des Mille Collines, and Carl Wilkins, an American missionary who chose to stay in Rwanda and save lives despite the dangers. The genocide finally came to an end in mid-July 1994, when the RPF, led by Paul Kagame, captured Kigali and took control of the country. The aftermath of the genocide left Rwanda in ruins, with a shattered population grappling with the trauma and loss. The new RPF-led government faced the monumental task of rebuilding the nation and seeking justice for the victims. In the years following the genocide, Rwanda has made significant strides in reconciliation and development. The government implemented a grassroots justice system known as Gakaka, which allowed for community-based trials to address the vast number of genocide cases. While controversial, Gakaka helped to process many cases and provided a form of restorative justice. The International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda, ICTR, established by the UN, also prosecuted key architects of the genocide. Despite these efforts, the legacy of the genocide continues to haunt Rwanda. The scars of the past remain, and the challenge of fostering genuine reconciliation in a society still grappling with ethnic divisions is ongoing. The story of the Rwandan genocide serves as a stark reminder of the depths of human cruelty, but also of the resilience and courage that can emerge in the face of unimaginable horror. Today, Rwanda stands as a testament to the possibility of recovery and hope after the darkest of times. The country's leadership has focused on unity, economic development, and regional stability, striving to ensure that such a tragedy never occurs again. However, the memory of those 100 days in 1994 remains a powerful call to vigilance and action against hatred and intolerance, not just in Rwanda but around the world. If you found this video informative, please like, share, and subscribe.